Chapter 3, Part 31. There was a young merchant whose house was near Jalal's college, and who had professed himself a sincere and ardent disciple. He conceived a desire and intention to make a voyage to Egypt, but his friends tried to dissuade him. His intention was reported to Jalal, who strictly and rigorously prohibited his undertaking the voyage. Well, I was told by a sheikh not to go on a voyage myself, and well, I didn't get the opportunity per se, but you really need to give reasons, and perhaps the reasons were properly given, and we're just not into that, right? I mean, for the student here in this story, the young man could not divest himself of his desire and had no peace of mind, so one night he clandestinely stole away and went off to Syria. Arrived at Antioch, he embarked in a ship and set sail, as God had willed. His ship was taken by Ferengi pirates. He was made prisoner and was confined in a deep dungeon where he had daily portion of food doled out to him, barely sufficient to keep his body and soul together. He was thus imprisoned 40 days, during which he wept bitterly. He wept bitterly and reproached himself for having been disobedient to the injunction of Jalal, saying, "This is the reward of my crime. I have disobeyed the command of my sovereign, following after my own evil propensity." Precisely on the night of the 40th day, he saw Jalal in a dream, who addressed him and said, "Tomorrow, to whatever questions these misbelievers may ask thee, do thou return the answer. I know by that means shalt thou be released." He awoke bewildered, returned thanks to heaven, and sat down in holy meditation, awaiting the solution of his dream. Shortly, he saw a company of Ferengi people come to him, with whom was an interpreter. They asked him, "Knowest thou aught of philosophy, and canst thou practice therapeutics? Our prince is sick." His answer was, "I know." They immediately took him out of the pit, led him to a bath, and dressed him in a handsome vestment of honor. They then conducted him to the residence of the sick man. The young merchant, inspired of God, ordered them to bring him 7 fruits. These he prepared with a little scamity, and made the whole into a draught, which he administered to the patient. By the grace of God and the intercession of the saints, his treatment was crowned with success. After 2 or 3 visits, the Ferengi prince recovered, and by reason that the favor of Jalal was upon that young merchant, though he was utterly illiterate, he became a philosopher. Jalal assisted him. When the Ferengi prince had entirely recovered his health and had arisen from his sick bed, he told the young merchant to ask of him whatsoever he might wish. He asked for his freedom and for leave to return home, that he might rejoin his teacher. He then related all that had befallen him, his disobedience, his vision, and the assistance of Jalal. The whole audience of Ferengis, without sight of Jalal, became believers in him and wooers of him. They set the young merchant free and allowed him to depart, bestowing on him rich presents and a bountiful outfit. On his arrival at the metropolis, before going to his own house, he hastened to pay his respects to Jalal. On beholding the sacred features from afar, he threw himself on the earth, embraced Jalal's 2 feet, kissed them, rubbed his face upon them, and wept. Jalal raised him, kissed both his cheeks, and said, "It was a narrow escape through thy curing the Ferengi prince. Thou didst abscond, but henceforward do thou remain at home, and occupy thyself in learning what is lawful. Take contentment as thy exemplar. The sufferings of the sea, the commotion of the ship, the calamity of captivity, and the darkness of the dungeon are so many evils. Contentment is a very blessing from God." And it's usually not good to just travel for the sake of traveling.